The A minor etude is the first of two technical etudes in this year's audition material. So what makes this one different from the other one is the fact that it's not repeating notes over and over, it's alternating between different notes. Very rarely do any notes repeat in this etude. When it comes to practicing this etude, it's important to kind of isolate the different aspects of the technique that we need to use to perform this etude well. So what I mean by that is when we're doing this etude, we need to make sure our fingers, our tongue, and our air in our face are all lined up exactly where we want them to be. So obviously it could be a little bit of a challenge to think about all those things at once. So what we're going to do is focus on each of those things individually. So we're going to start with tonguing. So what I'm going to do is just, I'm not going to sing any kind of pitch. I'm just going to be focusing on the articulation itself. So I'm just going to sing through that first phrase, just articulating the rhythm, not focused on the pitch at all. Just making sure my articulation is exactly where I want it to be. Ta 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 ta. What I want to do now is do the same thing on the instrument. So all I'm doing is adding an instrument to my face, but the articulation and the concept behind that should be exactly the same. So I'm going to focus on playing it just on one note. I'm going to do it on A, just because we're in the A minor key. So again, nothing's changing except we're adding an instrument now. Don't necessarily settle for just doing it once. You want to make sure you're able to do that consistently just about every time. So the next thing we're going to do is focus on the fingers. We're going to sing through the first phrase again, and we're going to focus on just fingering along. We're going to be really focused in, locked in on our fingers to make sure they're doing exactly what we want them to do at the right time. So just singing through it. Ta 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 ta. So it's important with the fingers as well to make sure that both when we're going down with the fingers and going up, that we're not too slow with them or too fast. It's a more common tendency to be slow bringing the vowels back up. So make sure that you're really listening for that, really feeling that, making sure everything would be moving exactly where you want it to. The next thing we're going to do is focus on the face and the air. So what we're going to do is focus on changing in between partials, since that's what a lot of this etude consists of, is just jumping in between partials on every 16th note. So what we're going to do is just kind of create a little exercise. It's not going to be anything necessarily written on the page, but it's going to be stuff that is applied to the page. So what we're going to do is start on a concert F and just kind of slur up and back down on different partials. So if I do F, B flat, D, da, stuff like that. So I'll demonstrate that on the instrument. So I want to make sure, again, that everything is lined up exactly where we want it to be. We're not too slow, we're not too fast with moving our face and our air. So obviously we're not going to be doing the etude that slow, but it's good. You want to make sure that you can do it slow at first just to make sure you have a feeling for what you want, and then speed it up to the tempo you're practicing it at. Just to make sure that when you apply the face in the air in that context, that nothing really changes. It's going to be the same kind of feeling. All you're doing is just adding in fingers and tongue. So it's good to isolate these, just because in my opinion, if you're able to do these individual exercises at the tempo that you're practicing it at, chances are when you add them all together, it's going to feel a lot easier, which is the ultimate goal, is to make these kinds of technical etudes sound really easy. So one of the things that's left now is doing this phrase slurred. So we're pretty much doing everything we've done so far except for the tongue. So we're just applying our face, our air, and our fingers, all just slurring everything on this first phrase, making sure everything is lined up exactly where we want it to. So yeah, I was tonguing the repeated notes, but everything else pretty much just slur everything you can. So now all that's left to do is add the tongue. So nothing that we've done so far should be diminished. All we're doing now is just adding the tongue. And yeah, so you can apply that to pretty much the rest of the etude as well. Again, it's really important to focus in on these small little details because when you add them all together, it makes it just so much better. Isolate these throughout different sections of the etude and just make sure that everything is exactly where you want it to be. Don't settle for just, okay, I did it once. Make sure you're able to do it consistently. If you're able to do it consistently, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable in the audition room. But yeah, happy practicing.